So with so much investment advice out there, it's got to be hard to know where to put your money when you're making $500,000 a year or more. This video is designed for you. If you're making $500,000 or more, keep watching because I'm going to give you some easy to follow strategies that are going to have you and your money growing into wealth much faster and in a much more reliable way than what you're traditionally used to. So let's start with this. So if you're making $500,000 or more, the one change we need to make is where your money goes first. And how much money am I talking about? Well, 15 to 20%. The normal rule is 10, but when you're making $500,000 or more, depending on where you live in the country, you got some extra money. You got some extra money to save, and that's the money we're going to talk about. So we want to get that money out of your operating budget. We don't want that money to just disappear to your bills. We don't want that money to be frivolously spent because although $500,000 is a lot of money, it goes quick. When you start living up to that income, well, you can have nicer cars, nicer houses, nicer clothes, nicer purses, nicer shoes. You get the drift. All of a sudden, $500,000 doesn't feel like that much money because you started to spend up to your income, which is why this first rule, it's actually a law of wealth, is to change where your money goes first and get 15 to 20% of your money. So take 500,000 and just do 20%. Let's shoot for the hills here. So take 20% and we want to get that money out of the normal bank account. We want to start segregating dollars. And this money could be put over there into the savings category. Some of it could be put over into a specially designed and engineered whole life, and you could use it for the infinite banking concept. Heck, if you got some extra money that's just been laying around that you've been saving, but you don't know what to do with it, you don't want to put it in the stock market because you're worried it's going to go down. Good, because this is January 2023. Chances are stock market's going to go much lower. So you really don't know what to do with that money. Let's get that money working for you by taking that money and shifting where it sits. That's right. Let's just change where you warehouse your wealth. So whatever excess money you have, let's dump that into a specially designed whole life. And let's take that 15 or 20% and that money that you want safe and you want to save, and let's put that into that specially designed whole life. Why do I know how to do this? Because this is what I do. It's exactly what I do, and it's what I help thousands of other people do. And it works incredibly well. Because your bank account might be paying you 1 to 3% right now. That specially designed whole life, well, with dividends, they're north of 5% right now. And that's tax-free. So the tax equivalent yield you're making there is far better than what you're making over there in that measly checking or savings account that you've got. So let's go on to the second thing. So to start building real wealth, what we got to do is we got to look at your debts. Now at $500,000, I bet you got enough money you could pay some of these debts off. So let's do it. Let's get rid of the debts because you don't need them anymore. You got all this excess money you're making. Well, instead of going out and buying that new handbag, instead of buying that new car when you got a nice car already, let's pay down the debts. Let's get you to a point where you're pretty much debt-free. Maybe the only thing we don't pay off is, I don't know, anything that's close to 0% in interest or your mortgage, because you probably got a mortgage that's a pretty low interest rate like most people right now. But any other debts, let's get rid of them. Once we get rid of them, we're going to take the money that we pay to pay the debts off. Okay, that money's gone forever, but the amount that you were giving to your debtor, let's just say it's Visa or Amex or Amazon credit card. When we pay that off, what I want you to do is whatever amount you used to pay to them monthly, I want you to shift that over to the savings side. Okay, I want you to have that money automatically through a bill pay or an automatic setup transfer. I want that money to go into a brand new segregated checking account. So what do I mean by that? Well, call your bank and have them set up a new checking account. But this checking account, you don't want a debit card and you don't want any checks. You just want this checking account just so that you can silo the money that you were giving away. So you can start to see how much wealth you could build just by taking back, recycling, and recapturing the money you were giving away with your debts. And then we can move on to the expenses later. But let's just focus on the debts for this one. Number 3, what I just told you a second ago with recycling and recapturing the money you're giving away to your debts, essentially what I'm showing you how to do with that simple structure is I'm showing you how to be your own bank. That's right. I'm showing you how to take back the banking functions in your life. Because if you were okay paying all those debts, principal and interest, and if you got a car loan, well, let's pay that off too, and then take the car loan, payment, which is interest and principal, and then put that money back over into the segregated account. Your money's going to start on the left side, okay? This is where your income goes, that segregated account, or maybe it's just a regular account. But we want to then shift that money over here to pay the debts off. So think of a circle. We're just going to pay the debts off over here. And when we start paying those debts off, you're going to take the amount that you used to pay to whatever that debtor is. I don't care if it's a car payment, a credit card payment, a line of credit payment. And we're going to shift that down the bottom part of the circle so that it lands back in your bank. Now, your bank is just an account that you set up, or specially designed and engineered whole life that we teach you how to do. But no matter what, now, all the money you used to give away is now ending up in your account that you control, that you can use, that you can reposition in something else. This is being the bank, folks. And if you want to take that to another step, being the bank can also include some entity structure. You might want to start doing some private lending because, hey, that's a great place to be. If we're going to mimic the bank and be the bank, what do banks do? They issue loans, don't they? When we need a new car, when we want to buy this property, when we want to invest in real estate, what do? We borrow from the bank. That's just what we've been taught to do. But now, what if you're the bank? And somebody else needs money for their real estate deal that they're going to do, and you know, like, and understand the real estate deal they're doing, and you trust them, or you've built trust with them by studying or doing your due diligence, so you want to lend money to them in a first secured position. So you become a private lender. If you're going to become a private lender right now, the rates are between 10 and 15%, maybe even higher. But just as an average, that's about what I see in privatemoneyclub.com. So if that's a good rate of return and you like that, check out privatemoneyclub.com. And you can see how we're all getting that by being the bank and lending our money. But when we lend, should we lend in our personal name, or should we set up an entity and structure it so that we can do that type of lending? Well, that's up to you. I've done both. I've lent in my personal name, but then when I get that check every single month, which is 12 or 15% interest, that's all taxable. So now if I just take and put the money in the entity, and then I lend from the entity, that money comes back to the entity where I can then have expenses, okay, and write-offs and all sorts of things personally I can't do. So that whittles down the amount of interest that I have to pay tax on. And that's it. Find yourself a good CPA or a good tax professional, and they can help you structure that. Or just watch some other videos I have, and I'll show you how we've done it. The fourth thing you want to do is you want to change the way you buy cars. But this is unique. So you're probably at a point now where you've got some cash, you got a nice car, so maybe you want to upgrade your car. So don't sell your car. Why don't we just look into something called Turo? And we start renting your car out. Now, maybe this is for you and maybe this isn't for you. It's just an option. But it's another way you can turn income on. So if you've got a car and you want to make that car work for you and make income for you, Turo is a great way. You can rent it out. That's right. You just put it up on Turo and then follow the prompts and they'll show you how to do it, and you just start renting your car out. Now, it will take time. Some people are even hiring people just to run their Turo business for the extra cars that they had. Now, I'm not saying you're there yet, but maybe you are. And maybe this is an option. But I would also suggest watching other videos I've done showing you how you can get all the money back for all the cars you ever buy, drive, and own. Because if you knew how to get all the money back for all the cars you buy, drive, and own, well, then it would be really cool to have somebody else pay for all of those. And that would be the Turo option. And the fifth thing is you have to understand there's no get-rich-quick solution. Wealth is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Compound interest takes time, and it always has. So stop being in a rush. You're there. You got a great income, and you're going to make more and more money, but stop being in a huge rush. Stop acting rich, and stop buying all these things that are being bought just to impress people that don't even matter and that will never, ever take you to the next level. So this is a time to really reflect. Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? Hell, where do you want to be next year? Well, that's up to you, not me. But I think you need to really look at this and say, I've made it this far. Now it's time to take the next step. And the way you're going to do it is by following these simple rules and lessons that I just laid out for you. Let's repeat these again. Let's just do a recap. The first thing is we're going to change where your money goes first. And I suggested a specially designed and engineered whole life, which you can learn about, or a segregated account, no less than 15 to 20% at this income level. The second thing I talked about is start building your wealth through your own debts and expenses. I showed you how to take the money you would normally save and pay off debts, and then take the money you're giving away to the debts and recapture that money. It's a risk-free return, and the return can be really high on that because all you need to do is look at how much money you're giving away and what the interest rate is on those debts. The third thing, which follows perfectly with start building your wealth through your debts and expenses, is number 3, be your own bank. Or maybe even start lending money, do private lending, and set up an entity, a structure that's going to allow you some tax advantages that you can't do lending personally. You could even look into trust structures. I've done it, and I've got other videos that show you how to do that. Then change the way you buy cars, or change the way that your cars get paid for. And I suggested Turo. If you got extra cars that you're going to sell, maybe don't sell them. Maybe what you want to do is just make them go to work for you by putting them on Turo and making money every day or every week for renting them out. And then the fifth thing is paramount. There's no get-rich-quick solution. Wealth is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And compound interest, what Albert Einstein called the 8th wonder of the world, the most powerful thing in the universe, those that understand it earn it, those that don't pay it. But it takes time. Compound interest takes time. So, sit down, get comfortable, set your plan, and let's make 2023 one of the best years of your life. And take that $500,000 or more in income you're making, and let's add 20 or 30% to that by simply following these steps. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, check this one out right here. What is the most important factor for wealth creation? We'll see you next time.